Citizens of the United States are facing a battle greater than any battle that has been fought by our country in the last 250 years. Since January 20th, 2021, every single right outlined in the Bill of Rights contained in the Constitution of the United States has been attacked and violated by not a foreign enemy, but the administration of a man who swore on that date to uphold our Constitution. As a result, our country is reeling under a socialist regime that has violated our ability to care for our families, has destroyed a burgeoning economy and crippled the supply chain that we've been able to rely upon to meet our needs and wants, has opened our country and invited an uncontrolled flood of illegal aliens bringing disease, violence, and mob activity to our borders, and then airlifted these illegal predators at taxpayer expense to the furthest reaches in the interior of our country under the guise of claims that pregnant women have the right to choose what they want to do with their bodies. They have promoted the ability to murder unborn and newly born children, allowing irresponsible parents to avoid the covenants that they made with God at creation. Yet they tell responsible, hard-working citizens that they have no right to determine whether a poorly tested, questionable vaccine should be injected into their bodies, even if the person receiving the injection has natural immunity from having the disease the vaccine is supposed to prevent. Additionally, the multi-trillion-dollar budgets that have been proposed and passed repeatedly at the urging of this administration by our careless, irresponsible Congress are going to leave our children in debt up to their ears for generations to come. The last time Americans faced this kind of tyranny was before the Revolutionary War in the 1700s. At that time, patriots tried for decades to resolve the tyrannical practices of the British throne through negotiation and non-confrontational means. They found it didn't work because the tyrant oppressing them was focused on his own agenda of breaking promises made to colonists and destroying the very freedoms they gave up everything they had when they left their mother country to receive. After many decades of negotiation, followed by repeated onslaughts of tyrannical activity, these settlers finally accepted the fact they could no longer wait, hoping things would get better. They drafted the Declaration of Independence and the Articles of Confederation to lay the groundwork for a new government that was inspired by God and dedicated to providing the freedom they all sought with every ounce of their being, and followed that up by going to war with the mother country and then creating the longest lasting constitution in the history of the world for any government. In the fight with England that followed, many of these patriots gave up the ultimate price of their lives because they realized that the freedoms that they were fighting for were far more precious than any tangible thing that they had owned. Since their sacrifice, millions of other American citizens have believed the same thing and have been willing to give their all to defend those same rights and freedoms. I often wonder what these brave veterans believe or think when they see our modern citizens who complain about the current situation in their lives, but who are either not willing to do anything productive to resolve it because they don't want to get involved, or they're too afraid to stand up for what they say they believe, or choose instead to get involved in violent and destructive activities to get their point across. It's interesting that these violent and destructive activities that have occurred in our country in the last couple of years really have made very little difference. All that has succeeded in happening is that the people who did the rabble-rousing to raise everybody up to get going are now basking in luxury and comfort as a result of what the people that they got involved with put together. The legacy we are leaving our children promises to be one of pain and poverty for generations to come. However, we can use this horrible situation to teach an object lesson that's more valuable than all the trillions of dollars that Congress is wasting. More destructive is the absence of the values of choosing what is godly and right when making decisions on how to treat difficult issues. If we don't show our children that standing up for what we know is right is the thing to do, what are we teaching them? Is it any wonder that they are confused with the information that they're getting through the social media and through our public schools? Those environments they have been taught to believe are environments that they can trust. And when we don't stand up and show them what is right by involving ourselves in the actions that protect what is right. It's no wonder that they're confused. It's no wonder that they come up with the wrong kind of ideas. What kind of groundwork do we lay when we refuse to stand up for the rights that our founding fathers so carefully crafted to perpetuate our freedoms? What is the legacy that we really want to leave? Do we want our children to avoid doing difficult things out of fear and refuse to take responsibility for their lives? I agree, the task is difficult, and I can see how it's insurmountable to many of us. However, our Constitution still stands. It is still the law of the land, and just because the current administration is choosing not to honor what it stands for and is violating the law repeatedly, it doesn't negate the fact that that Constitution still stands. As long as it stands, we the people have the power to take the initiative to take back control of this country. The question is, what are we willing to do? Do we continue along the current path and watch the longest lasting constitutional government in the history of the world finally fall? Or do we do the hard thing, the thing that's right, and stand up for what we believe, taking the steps necessary to stop that tyranny before it's too late? It doesn't have to be violent. It doesn't have to be destructive. It just has to be consistent, and there has to be enough people willing to do it. The task is yours. The time is now. Can you find the personal integrity and courage to do the right thing? If you want support, join us for the Freedom Fighters Forum to find out what you can do to take legal, non-violent, and effective action to preserve the country that you love. We meet via Zoom on Thursdays from 6:30 to 8 p.m. Central Time. Seating is limited, so reserve your space now by clicking on the link below this video.